guys? Welcome to the first ever episode of Rant.Rave.Review's Fresh.View.Review. Now, why it's called a Fresh.View is because I just got out of seeing the new James Bond movie, James Bond Spectre, and it was a really good movie. It definitely lived up to the hype of what I wanted to see out of a James Bond movie. Now, let's just get right into it and talk about the movie itself. So the plot of the movie is essentially about James Bond finding a cryptic message of sorts that leads him to discover one of the biggest crime organizations, Spectre, that he's been essentially taking down for the past couple of movies. And now he's reached the head of it, played by Christopher Waltz, and that's the villain he essentially faces throughout the entire movie. Now, the things I liked about this movie were almost everything. It definitely brought back a lot of key classic Bond elements to it, like the martini, like the Bond girl, the suit and tuxedo. That stuff was all very predominant throughout the movie, so it definitely brought that old kind of James Bond feel to it. Daniel Craig brought a great performance to the table, as of always. He definitely was a convincing Bond. Definitely more, I'd say a little bit more debonair this time around compared to the last couple of Bond movies. But definitely a strong performance by him. Strong performance by the returning cast, M, Q. Both by great performances, definitely. Now, definitely delivered on the action part of it, no doubt about that. It's a James Bond movie, so you're definitely going to get the action, you're going to get the explosions, you're going to get the gunfire. All of that was definitely delivered. Now, where the movie fell a little bit short for me, and the kind of rants I have about it are that, one, what was Christopher Waltz's part, and, it was kind of disappointing because he is a great villain in most of his movies, and he really brings a strong performance and banter and dialogue to those movies. In this movie, he just didn't have it. He was very just here I am, I'm Christopher Waltz, here's my villainous part. Very standard, nothing too crazy about it, and it was a little upsetting for the most part because I was going in thinking, wow, this is a great actor they picked for the villain of this movie, and he's really gonna bring something to the table, and he really didn't deliver. He's Christopher Waltz, two-time Academy Award winner for the Django and Inglourious Basterds, which are both one of my favorite films. So, I definitely was expecting more. Also, something that lacked a little luster was Barista. Big guy, expecting some big action. And he brought the big action, but as someone who played Drax with all that really funny and over-the-top dialogue in terms of just not understanding, like, common sense, and, like, stuff like that. It was just, he didn't say anything the entire movie until the end of his scenes there, and he was just quiet, and it was just a little underwhelming too. I was expecting a little bit more from him as well, so it was a little upsetting. But, overall, I definitely enjoyed the movie. It definitely had that old kind of Bond feel, the Bond car with the cool little gadgets. It wasn't over the top, which I think is a good thing. That was kind of the old Bonds thing, the over the top gadgets, the invisible cars, the weird, the crazy stuff that, obviously is somewhat unrealistic. But this Bond, definitely it stayed on the path it was. Now, if you were a fan of the kind of direction the series was going in, more of like a serious James Bond, compared to the Sean Connery versions and, all those other past versions. It's way more serious and more like sociopathic, if anything. So, it deviated a little bit off that, kind of going towards more the debonair, suave Bond who wears tuxedos and gets with the chicks and all that good stuff. And the two women he ended up getting with this movie actually survived compared to past movies. So it's pretty interesting to see that as well. But you'll get definitely. I don't want to reveal too many spoilers about it. I want you guys definitely to go check it out. Definitely worth seeing. Overall, I give it a 7 out of 10. It's hard to reach perfection, and it did fall short on some aspects of it. Not enough dialogue. Christopher Waltz's part was definitely a little bit underwhelming. But it definitely hit the top marks in terms of it being a good Bond movie, bringing that action, keeping me awake and alive in that movie, because sometimes it's a little hard. But definitely it just didn't hit it in terms of dialogue and just villainous part. And, I'm hoping that the next Bond film, which is rumored to be called Bond 25, being the 25th Bond film in the franchise, that really Daniel Craig brings a great performance to that, and I think it's going to be his last, and hopefully it is, he definitely hopefully shows up for it, because it's not all up in the air right now. I'm glad this movie kind of tied in some stuff from the older movies, from like Skyfall and Quantum of Solace, because it definitely, those movies are left a lot of cliffhangers there for a lot of, untied strings, a lot of unneat ends, and this movie kind of brought some of those from Quantum of Solace together. Alright guys, so this was the first ever episode of Fresh View Review of Rant.Rave.Review, my new channel on YouTube. I'm going to be posting on Periscope a lot, so definitely tune in live for some these reviews. So I'm going to bring this over to my computer, and I'm going to add my final kind of thoughts to it using my webcam, and I'm going to edit this all together, throw it up on YouTube, and you guys can take a look at it. What's up, guys? Welcome to my final thoughts part of the Fresh.View review. So this is kind of where I take it back to the home base, collected all my thoughts of what I thought of James Bond Spectre this time around. And this is this kind of just be a little wrap up, a little kind of things, corrections that I'm going to make for my live video. I said a lot of different things, it was my first live interview, so this is kind of where I'm just going to sum everything up for you. So let's just get right into it. The rants, the stuff I didn't like about the movie, one was going to be Christopher Waltz's performance. Didn't bring it as a villain. There wasn't enough dialogue from him. He didn't bring that banter that I expect from him. So I was a little upset in that regards. Also Barista, he brought the action 100%. Those fighting scenes where he was in were killer, and I can't wait for you guys to see them. But in terms of dialogue, coming from a role like Drax where he brought all that funny kind of commentary, and then coming to this role where I was expecting a little bit more from him, he just didn't deliver for me. But honestly, the raves, things I loved about the movie was everything else. Everything else about this movie was great. James Bond, Daniel Craig put off a great performance. It brought the action, it brought the gunfire, it brought everything, all the great elements of the movie that I come to love in a Bond film, and really kind of brought back, like I said 1,000 times in the initial review, it brought back that old James Bond feeling, and that's kind of what you want to go for. It's really what the fans of the old Bond franchise have been hoping for, and this really takes a couple nods at it with the car and the martinis and everything like that. And it's definitely, I think it's a good step forward, and it's looking like we're going in a good direction for these Bond films. So, guys, that's my final review. Definitely go see it. Definitely check it out. Like I said, 7 out of 10. Worth it. Definitely spend the money. And tune in next time. We're going to be posting a lot of videos, a lot of movie reviews, a lot of game reviews, TV. I'm going to get into a lot of discussion stuff. As you guys can see, I'm really big into Marvel and a lot of video game stuff. So I'm going to be talking a lot about that, into rumors and speculation. And we have a lot of stuff. I got a lot of stuff planned. Hopefully I can get to it all. But we're going to see. All right, guys. Good seeing you. And tune in next time.